A 74-year-old woman once sat across from me in my office, her hands gently resting in her lap, not due to illness, but because of something far more subtle and deeply personal. She looked at me with sincerity and said, "I didn't realize I was doing harm to myself." For years, like millions of women her age, she had been privately engaging in a natural act, yet without understanding how her changing body needed something different. She's not alone. I'm Dr. Jen Gunter, a gynecologist with over 3 decades of experience dedicated to helping women maintain their well-being, confidence, and sexual health into their later years. And I'm here to share a conversation that is long overdue. After the age of 60, the way your body responds to intimacy, especially self-intimacy, changes. And if we don't evolve with it, we risk silently damaging something precious, our sense of self, vitality, and connection. You've likely heard that masturbation is natural, even beneficial. And that's true, but how you do it matters more than ever as you age. In this article, I'll share 5 key truths about self-pleasure after 60 that most women were never taught. These are insights that can protect your pelvic health, preserve sensation, and even rekindle your confidence. Stay with me, especially until the last point. It might just shift how you age and how you feel in your body from this moment forward. Secret 1. Arousal isn't everything, and that's okay. One of the most common concerns I hear from older women is that their body doesn't work the way it used to. A woman once asked me with visible embarrassment, "Does this mean I'm no longer a woman?" That question breaks my heart every time, because it reflects a deep and damaging cultural myth. Here's the truth. Your sexual responses may look different as you age, but that doesn't mean they're gone. Blood flow naturally slows down, hormone levels fluctuate, and arousal may take more time and more intention. This isn't dysfunction. It's a normal and healthy transformation. Sexuality after 60 is less about immediate physical reaction and more about presence, patience, and permission. You don't need to recreate the response you had at 25 to enjoy intimacy today. Your body still holds the potential for connection, sensation, and release. It just speaks in a slower, deeper, more intuitive language now. The idea that arousal must happen quickly or follow a predictable path can create unnecessary stress and self-doubt. For many women, this pressure leads not to intimacy, but to avoidance. Yet in reality, arousal in later years may be sparked by emotional closeness, a long period of gentle touch, a meaningful memory, or a simple feeling of safety. Understanding this shift and embracing it starts with giving yourself grace. It's also crucial to differentiate between desire and arousal. While spontaneous desire may naturally wane with age, responsive desire, arising after stimulation begins, often remains intact. Many women over 60 continue to experience rich, fulfilling pleasure, but only after they've been given the time and space to truly relax into their bodies. Your sensuality hasn't disappeared. It's evolved. And that evolution is not a loss. It's an invitation to discover new ways of experiencing intimacy. Whether you are with a partner or practicing self-pleasure, learning to speak your body's current language is key. Ask yourself, what do I enjoy now? What sensations make me feel warm, open, and safe? I've learned one consistent truth. When women are given the tools and confidence to listen to their bodies, free from shame, they unlock the kind of pleasure that only wisdom and experience can bring. As I often say, think of your body as a garden. It may need different care than before, but it can still bloom beautifully. That analogy rings especially true in a society that rarely speaks honestly about aging and sexuality. Too often, older women are rendered invisible in conversations about intimacy. But invisibility is not irrelevance. Your needs, desires, and experiences matter, perhaps now more than ever. To begin reconnecting with your body, start small. Take a sensual bath with essential oils. Try slow, intentional self-massage. Explore guided imagery or meditative breathing. Use soft fabrics, soothing music, or candlelight, whatever helps you feel grounded and nurtured. Another helpful practice is touching your body with no set goal. Simply be curious. Let your fingers linger. Explore your skin without pressure or expectations. This kind of mindful touch helps the nervous system reset and respond more fully over time. And yes, it's absolutely okay and often helpful to use tools like lubricants or vibrators. The key is to choose body-safe, non-irritating products that suit your comfort level. Tools aren't about fixing anything. They're about expanding your options and deepening your connection with pleasure. Always remember, your body isn't betraying you, it's evolving. And when you meet it with compassion and curiosity instead of judgment, you may find that what seemed lost was simply waiting for a gentler invitation. Aging doesn't take away pleasure. It teaches you to savor it. Sexual well-being after 60 isn't about performance. It's about presence, exploration, and self-honoring. In that presence, there is still so much joy and power to discover. Secret 2. Self-pleasure is emotional, not just physical. Another woman in her late 70s once came to me not because of pain, but because she said, "I just feel numb, not just in my body, but emotionally." She shared that she had a habit of touching herself before bed each night, not out of deep desire, but because it helped her fall asleep. It had become a kind of emotional crutch. What she hadn't realized was that her nightly habit wasn't just a sexual act. It had evolved into a way of coping with emotional loneliness and isolation. And she's far from alone. Many older women, especially those who live by themselves or have experienced the loss of a partner, turn to self-pleasure as a form of comfort, release, and escape. There's nothing wrong with this instinct. In fact, the body naturally seeks comfort through physical connection. After orgasm, the brain releases powerful neurochemicals, dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins that calm the nervous system, reduce anxiety, support restful sleep, and create a sense of emotional safety. These are all essential for mental health at any age. However, when self-touch becomes purely mechanical or habitual, done without emotional presence or curiosity, it can begin to feel empty. The body goes through the motions, but the heart isn't engaged. Over time, this disconnection can contribute to feelings of emotional flatness or even resentment toward one's own body. Mindful self-pleasure invites a different approach. It's not just about chasing a physical response. It's about slowing down, feeling into the moment, and using touch as a way to reconnect with yourself emotionally. When done with awareness, self-pleasure becomes not only healing, but empowering. It can be a space of self-soothing, self-discovery, and deep personal peace. Secret 3. Use it or lose it is real. Many women stop touching themselves after a partner passes away, after menopause, or when their sexual desire begins to wane. It's a quiet decision, often unspoken, unchallenged, rooted in the belief that that part of life is over. But what they're rarely told is this: disuse leads to decline. And that decline isn't inevitable. It's biological and often reversible. Just as muscles weaken when we stop using them, your vaginal tissues and pelvic floor structures can lose strength, elasticity, and sensitivity when they're no longer engaged. Without regular stimulation, blood flow to the area diminishes. The nerves that once lit up with sensation become less responsive. Vaginal tissue may thin or dry out. Over time, atrophy can set in, making even simple touch uncomfortable or less satisfying. But this process is not a punishment. It's simply how the body conserves energy when it senses something is no longer needed. The empowering truth is that you can signal to your body that this part of you still matters. And in doing so, you can actually begin to restore function, comfort, and pleasure. Gentle, consistent touch, even if it doesn't lead to orgasm, can stimulate blood flow, maintain tissue health, and preserve or even revive sensitivity. You don't have to pressure yourself to feel a certain way. The act of simply reconnecting with your body is healing in and of itself. Over the years, I've seen women in their 70s, even 80s, regain not just sensitivity, but a sense of confidence and delight in their own skin. They rediscovered pleasure, not by chasing it, but by consistently and kindly inviting it back. Your sexual self doesn't have an expiration date, but like any part of your body, it thrives with attention, care, and gentle use. Secret 4. Vibrators can be a double-edged sword. Vibrators can be wonderful allies. They provide consistent, targeted stimulation that many older women find helpful, especially when changes in hormone levels or blood flow make it harder to achieve orgasm through manual touch alone. In fact, I often recommend vibrators to patients who are exploring pleasure in their later years. But like any tool, they must be used with awareness and balance. Here's what many people don't realize. When vibrators are used too frequently, especially at high intensities, the body can become conditioned to respond only to that specific kind of stimulation. This phenomenon, called accommodation, happens when the nervous system adjusts to repeated input, making other, more subtle sensations feel muted or even non-existent. Imagine always listening to music at full blast. After a while, your ears get so used to the volume that soft sounds, like whispers, barely register. The same thing can happen with sexual stimulation. If your body only receives strong, fast, high-frequency vibration, it may become less sensitive to gentle touch or emotional intimacy. I once worked with a woman in her early 70s who had been using a powerful vibrator every night for years. She began to feel disconnected, not just from her body, but from any sense of emotional or sensual fulfillment. We created a plan to reduce vibrator intensity gradually, introducing slower, softer techniques like warm compresses, feather-light touch, and breath work. Over time, her natural sensitivity returned, along with a deeper sense of emotional presence. This isn't about demonizing vibrators. They're not harmful in themselves. But overdependence can dull your sensory system and limit your range of experience. Your body and brain thrive on variety, presence, and curiosity, not just intensity. Explore. Mix it up. Let your pleasure palette grow richer, not narrower. Secret 5. Pleasure is a lifeline, not a luxury. A 75-year-old woman once sat across from me and quietly asked, "Is it still okay to touch myself at my age?" Her tone was cautious, even apologetic, as if she were confessing something shameful rather than inquiring about a basic aspect of human experience. That one question carries so much weight, and it reveals how deeply society has failed older women when it comes to conversations about sexuality, aging, and self-worth. Let me be absolutely clear. Yes, it is not only okay, it's important. Deeply important. Pleasure is not a frivolous indulgence reserved for youth or romance. It's a powerful part of staying connected to your body, your emotions, and your sense of aliveness. Self-pleasure, especially when practiced mindfully, can improve circulation, help maintain vaginal health, promote restful sleep, regulate mood through the release of endorphins, and even reduce stress-related inflammation. But beyond the physical, it nourishes your inner world. Why? Because pleasure reminds you that you still have needs, that you still feel, that you are still here in this body living a full life. After decades of caring for others, enduring loss, and navigating physical changes, pleasure becomes a reclamation of your inner self, not to perform for anyone else, but to honor who you are now. When women begin to see pleasure as a basic form of self-respect rather than a taboo, something remarkable happens. They begin to smile more. They sleep more peacefully. They carry themselves differently, shoulders back, faces softer, energy more grounded. Pleasure doesn't just affect the moment, it ripples outward into how you speak, walk, relate, and care for yourself. You don't need anyone's permission. The desire for comfort, warmth, and sensuality does not expire with age. Your body may feel different now, but different doesn't mean broken. It means wiser, more sensitive, and deserving of gentler care. Pleasure is not a luxury for women lucky enough to feel young. It is a lifeline, an act of ongoing self-love. And yes, you still matter. You are still worthy of joy, softness, and the quiet power of knowing yourself in this beautiful chapter of life. Secret 6. Ignoring pain isn't strength, it's silence. Pain during self-touch or intimacy is more common than many women over 60 realize, but it's not something to just live with. Unfortunately, due to cultural silence around older women's sexuality, many assume that discomfort is normal or even expected. They push through it or avoid pleasure altogether, believing that acknowledging pain somehow reflects weakness. But let's be very clear. Ignoring pain doesn't make you stronger. It only keeps you silent. And silence is what allows suffering to linger. Pain is your body's way of asking for attention. It could be caused by thinning vaginal tissue, a common result of declining estrogen, dryness, tension in the pelvic floor muscles, skin sensitivity, infections, or even emotional stress stored physically. Regardless of the cause, pain should never be dismissed or endured in isolation. It's a signal, not a sentence. One woman told me she'd stopped touching herself for years because it just didn't feel good anymore. When we explored further, she realized it wasn't a loss of desire. It was unaddressed physical discomfort. After just a few weeks of targeted care and gentle reintegration, she not only regained sensation, but rediscovered a sense of self she thought was lost forever. The truth is, when pain goes unspoken, it often grows, not just physically, but emotionally. It erodes confidence, shrinks joy, and reinforces the false belief that pleasure is no longer for you. But when you face pain with curiosity and care, you open a doorway to healing. Naming the pain is the first step in reclaiming comfort, safety, and pleasure in your body. You don't have to suffer in silence. You deserve to be heard, supported, and pain-free, because pleasure isn't just for the young. It's for the brave. And choosing to listen to your body is one of the bravest acts of all. Secret 7. Touch can heal more than you think. In my 30 years of medical practice, I've come to realize that for many women over 60, self-touch is not just a physical act, it's a deeply emotional one. It's not just about pleasure, it's about healing. So many women come to me feeling disconnected from their bodies, especially after years of putting others first, experiencing loss, or simply feeling invisible in a culture that rarely celebrates older femininity. And what I've seen time and again is this. Gentle, intentional touch can be a powerful path back home to yourself. One of my patients, a 72-year-old widow, once shared something that stayed with me. She told me that during one quiet moment of self-exploration, she unexpectedly began to cry. It wasn't pain, she said. It felt like I was finally giving myself something I hadn't allowed in years, tenderness. That moment wasn't just about sexuality. It was about emotional release, grief, reconnection, and healing. You see, our bodies hold memories. Our skin, our nerves, our muscles, everything stores stories. When you begin to touch yourself with compassion instead of judgment, you're not just waking up sensation, you're releasing years of silence, shame, or suppression. I always suggest starting small. Let your hands explore your arms, shoulders, your belly without rushing. Breathe deeply. Be present. You don't have to reach for climax. The goal is to simply feel again, to notice what your body responds to be with yourself gently, with care. And yes, if you're comfortable, extend that touch to more intimate areas, but keep it slow, exploratory, and free of pressure. This isn't about performance. It's about permission. The truth is, mindful self-touch can rewire how your nervous system responds to love, safety, and pleasure. It's one of the most natural ways to say to your body, I still care. I'm still here. I still matter. In a world that often forgets to celebrate aging women, this kind of touch becomes a radical act of self-love. And in that act, deep emotional healing begins. You are still whole. If you've read this far, thank you. These 5 truths aren't just health tips. They're part of a bigger story that every woman over 60 deserves to know. You are not broken. You haven't lost your sexuality. It's simply shifted. When you stop measuring your worth by what you used to feel and start honoring what your body needs now, you open the door to a new, deeper intimacy with yourself. Your age does not disqualify you from joy. In fact, it may be the very reason to pursue it with more compassion than ever before. Let's break the silence together. Leave a comment, share your story, and let others know they're not alone. If this resonated with you, consider sharing it with a friend or subscribing for more honest, supportive content designed specifically for women in their 60s and beyond. Because you still matter. Your body still matters. And your pleasure is still worth protecting.